Welcome to Casablanca Cargo. This is Kathy. If you're new here, I make stuff. If you've been here before, I make stuff with some kind of odd things every once in a while. Now I'm going to make a recipe journal because I wanted to make one for a very long time. And I went through a lot of my magazines and pulled out pictures of food and recipes of food, and I'm going to put it together with this here leftover composition notebook paper. One of the problems with pulling magazine images of recipes and food and things is that the height of the magazine page. I don't have any paper that tall. tall. So I'm going to take the composition notebook paper and sort of, combine the two pieces and glue the magazine on top of it. The purpose of this is threefold. No. Anyway, you'll see. In my enthusiasm, I got a little ahead of myself and glued the bottom strip before I cut the bottom strip. I don't want to use all of that paper. I don't want to glue it all together because then how to explain this? I don't need that much thickness, The magazine paper will add to the thickness of the page. So I'm cutting the top and the bottom into strips. Eventually I work out which part to glue. I'm using school glue. And as we go along here, I come up with this system. What I like about the school glue, though, is that, look, I could reposition that because I did glue it or put it down. It was crooked, whatever, So now I'm just figuring out what to do, where to glue the magazine onto. And I also am, folding the composition paper in half. And I'm going to fold the magazine page and glue it onto, it starts on the one half, glues onto the other half, so that I will have a long, tall recipe journal. There's a few moments there where I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing, so I cut that for time. So I trimmed down the magazine page so that it will fit onto the composition notebook. And you see here, I love that picture with the writing, the sitting on top of the writing and I don't know. It just, also the food looks good and the recipe looks good. So now I'm getting that ready. So the left side of the page of the magazine page sits on top of the fold there. And let's see, I gotta trim off a little bit more on the bottom. I don't get them precisely onto the composition notebook page, so I just trim it off if there's an overhang. And you really can't tell when it's all put together. So there is the first page, and now it's hanging over. And just with scissors, I'm going to trim around that part. Now, I was thinking, what do I do? Am I going to, glue it together and then I won't have any more lines? But then I thought, hey, I can start writing in this journal. I'll write I can put notes about the recipe right there in that middle section if I want to, or I can put more magazine pictures and things or whatever. But on the inside there, I can put notes. Did I make the recipe? What did I change? So I'm leaving the lines. It'll make it easier. And so for this second section then I cut the strip, and I'm not measuring how wide I'm going to make that middle piece. It's just a guesstimate, you know. And let's see if I've worked out which strip to which strip to glue and not glue over. No, not this time. I've glued too far over, but luckily the glue dries pretty quick. Oh, you know, I get so excited and enthused about coming up with something new that I flub it up a lot, but you know, usually it works out, and this time it did. Now I'm just trying to figure out which way to fold the second page, because I want them all opening up the same way in the journal. So now I've got the second part of this kebab recipe with gorgeous pictures, and now I'm going to trim that down a little bit and figure out how to put this one on the page. So I started from the back to the front on this section, and I had a little bit of extra. So it's easier for me to cut in a straighter line when I fold the paper than just to go, you know, straight on. I don't know why, but that technique has really helped me to cut. You know, I don't cut straight, perfectly straight, I will say, but folding that over has really helped. And, you know, I'm trying not to lose any of the recipe as I'm doing this. And there we go. There's the first page. Oh, look, and it opens. I can put notes there. There's another little bob, and then that opens, and I can put notes there. And that's the first page. I'll show you another technique here. This is a different situation. The recipe is cut. There's like the picture on the top there. The recipe's cut in half, and I thought, well, how am I going to get this on the page? What am I going to do? Do I put it on the full page? What do I do? And as I'm gluing these little strips down, it hit me. Maybe I can use that little section there to put this recipe on without losing any information for the recipe. This is a recipe for vegan collard greens. I love collard greens, and the regular way you make it with the ham hock and stuff, but during the pandemic, I had trouble finding ham hocks, and when I did, they were expensive. So I didn't make a lot of collard greens during the pandemic. I when I saw this recipe for vegan collard greens, I thought, hey, that could solve a problem and an expense. And also, I'm sure it's better for you, you know. And yeah, so this is working out, putting it on this little midsection, I suppose we could call that. And I'm looking forward to trying out this recipe sometime. And I positioned it on the paper so that I can write a little bit on the bottom if I want to put some notes down there. And yeah, that's neat how that worked out. So it's not just for writing a whole bunch of notes. And I love this column of pictures here with the guy working the collard greens. So I loved it so much I backed it onto some thin cardboard and put one of my mini thousands of brats. I don't have thousands. It feels like it, but I'm trying to use up all those brats, and made a little doodad to sit on that recipe section. And I could, and I might be able to write on the back of the cards as well. So moving on, then this is just now again showing you, demonstrating the paper is folded to the inside. It's glued 2 strips to make it the right length, and I put the recipe in, and with the school glue, if it's now, like, I find out, oh, it's too it's it's just a little bit too wide, I can peel that off, if I do it quick enough, and before it sets, and just put a little extra glue in there, and put this next recipe in. This is for, I believe it's some sort of, oh yeah, it's chicken. Oh yeah, some sort of yummy looking chicken that I would like to try in the future. And there we go. That's it. It's the process now. And glue that down, and I have the inner part there where I can write my notes. And thus, this is how it will go. Let me share with you my stack here now. Just real quick, flip through before I go on to the cover. And trimming some of this down. There we go. It's very easy, and I like it a lot because it keeps the information for the recipe and in a different format. I've put recipes like this into binder with page protectors, and that was convenient, but I like this better. I clipped and glued down these little pictures from the food magazines, and this is how I'm going to sew it. I'm going to show you a new technique. Instead of going around each square individually, I'm just going down the strip and filling it in on the bottom there, and then I'm going to run it again across the whole length for the these little images that I'm going to cut out eventually, because I use glue and it keeps the thread from coming out. So eventually I've got stitching around all 4 sides of the images, and now I'm taking the Tim Holtz Deco edge trimmer, and I wish I could share with you the sound of this, because I'm really womping on this thing. Some of this paper just doesn't want to cut, and then of course there's strings from the thread and all, but yeah, so I'm gonna go through this whole stack and cut them apart, and then we'll go on to the cover. For the cover, I figure the Trader Joe's bag will make a great cover because it is food, theme. And I love the big spoon, I love the fork, and I wanted to make a paper bag cover. So first I'm going to show you again the cut on the outside edge to get a straighter line technique. At least it works for me. And, and also it's easier than going inside the bag, and I don't know, I lose the plot when I go inside the bag to cut it. So this works out a lot better for me. I folded it in half first to see what I will be working with. I am going to use an elastic thread or string to bind this into the journal so I can add more pages as I get more recipes or if I want to write more in the journal. So I don't want the sides to be right exactly the same, or just like a 1/4 inch pass, because it could get bulky with the one signature. So now I'm just trying to figure out, I wanted to keep the spoon on the outside, but eventually I had to give up that hope. But you'll see what I come up with as we go here. I'm just trying to figure out where to fold the paper in. And, so I just, using the body of the signature gives me, how far to fold the paper bag in, and then at the bottom, instead of folding it right at the bottom of the signature, I'm going to give it a little wiggle room and put it right there. And here I am folding on the spoon. Oh well. I don't know, there was a whole bunch of minutes before this of me, trying to, I want to keep the spoon, why did I use this side? Why did just, shoot, but it'll be okay. And again, I'm using wet school glue. It will take a little bit for it to adhere and dry, but it's the cheapest. Once I added a few more beads of glue, I came in with my little wonder clips to keep it from lifting up as it dries. Here's where all those little sections of food pictures and words comes in, so it really didn't matter about the spoon because it was going to get covered up anyway. all those moments of just crying over a spoon. Anyway, these are all cut out from magazines, and I put together It's All About from one thing. Yeah, make sure you get that in the right side up. And then another section said food something, and so I just cut out the word food. And now I'm making a collage on the front, and I'll make a collage on the back. have the cover unfolded here so you can see my collage. And now on the inside, I am going to take one of the gusset of the bag has images. Both sides have images. This one is the food side, and I'm going to put it in to the inside of the journal cover to reinforce it, because it is just paper bag. There's no cardboard in there, to give it a little bit more durability and strength. Well, it's been 24 hours later. Well, it's been several 24 hours later. It's been so long, like a week or so, that I had to turn the air conditioner on. It's gotten quite warm here. And this is the only time I can do the voiceover, so here we are. So along the way, I dropped the innards to this journal, and they're all, messed up now. So I need to resort them, and I know that the shish kebabs are the middle. There's my Swiss chard guy, page sitter. And so I'm just going to go quickly through here and reorganize these papers. Oh me, oh my. That's what happens when you don't bind something up and then you move it. So here's the cover, of course, and I'm going to do an elastic binding. I'm going to use the Crocodile, handheld Crocodile, to put my insert in, as we call a signature, because I want to be able to add to this if I sew, some other recipe or picture or something strikes my fancy. So I'm sitting here waffling which hole size do I use, and I'm using this elastic. Well, it's not really seam binding, is it? It's elastic ruffle. And the reason I'm using this is because I cleaned up my desk, and I moved my elastic thread. I got a big spool of it, and I don't know where I moved it to. So I saw this in my actually organized, lace cabinet, and I thought, I do like yellow, and I think this would work out for a whimsical type of elastic. And I've had it for years. I got it at Tuesday Morning, which is no longer, so it's been a few years just sitting in there. I got it because it was cheap, and I thought, I can use this in my junk journals, and eventually I figured out where. Okay, so I'm going to put a knot on the outside, just one or two here, so it doesn't go back through the hole. And this is only one signature, so I need the elastic bit. There I go, testing it, tensile strength, and I have to poke it through with the pokey tool. So there we go, it goes through the hole, that's fine. So I need it to be a little taut on the inside to hold the signature in, and now I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. So I found these beads that I got at Michael's on clearance. I don't know, is that like a Murano type bead, those old, early 2000s. No, I've had them for a long time. And that jar that I have them in used to be a spice jar, but then the rubber seal gave out on them, so now they are for beads and things. And I've cut the outside elastic down a little bit, and I'm going to use one bead. So string that on again with the pokey tool. Okay, come on, get it in there. There we go. Okay, so I strung that on, and then I decided, well, I need that to stay taut, so I'm going to wrap a knot between the bead and the cover. And the bead will keep everything from winging out on the inside when I put the signature in. And so then I'm just gonna continue now to string some beads on here. I might as well, because I bought these years ago. I'm not going to use them for whatever bracelet was popular at the time. I'm sure it was like on the end of the popular Murano bead trend or something, because I did get these on clearance, and I'm always kind of late to the party as far as trends go. If there is a trend, I don't know about it, and then I end up buying the stuff on clearance. And this one, I think it had some sort of like malformed bead in the middle, that it took a minute to get that red one on. And I'm just gonna, because the elastic's so thick, I'm not even gonna bother worrying about, they're not gonna slide up and down on this thing too much. And if they did, I'd be okay anyway. It's just annoying having to use that tool every time I want to put a bead on here. But yeah, see, this was like a whole bracelet kit, I think, because there's a whole bunch of spacers in there on the desk. And let's see, what color. These are pretty beads, though. I do like the colors, I have to admit. I'm like a magpie. I'm drawn to shiny things. Oh, get it in there, for crying out loud. There we go. Now grab that. There you go. Yeah. And that's the last one. So I'm going to tie another knot, and probably, yep, 2 for good measure, just so nothing comes off. And I have a little dangle now on the outside of my very junk journal recipe journal. And of course, if you've seen any of my other elastic binding videos, or you've done it yourself, you just tug a little on the elastic and you find the center and you put it in there. Okay, there's my dangle. just goes on, does what it does. There's the front, there's the back, and again, of course, I have a long, tall journal on a short desk. And let me just do a real quick flip through and see that now I have spaces to write. There's that cake recipe. There's my collard greens guy. There's the recipe for vegan collard greens. There's the chicken. And I even started writing in it. Those are my little spice blends that I use on chicken. I bake chicken even in the summer when it's hot. I'll get up early and I will bake a whole tray of chicken and then cool it and freeze it, and then use it throughout the week, for meals. Makes really short work of putting a meal together in a hot kitchen. And here we come to the end, and there's the back. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Oh wait, here's a bonus. Yeah, so it was starting to like gape open and stuff, and I had extra of that yellow elastic, and there's the binding to hold it, the cover, together. Oh, here's another bonus reel. Ew, do you hear that? That was bad. That was bad. Something was happening. Something's happening. So here's a little video of me going in there. I'm gonna take the plate off. I have this little screwdriver key. I don't know what they call this thing. You're supposed to get those little short screws off of there, and it came with my machine, and I've kept it. I'm so proud of myself. I've kept it for 5 or 6 years now. And anyway, it's always fiddly. It's always fiddly to get those little screws on and off, and you know, but this is important. If you sew fabric, you know, if you sew on paper, you should clean your machine out. I never knew that until I was humiliated in a sewing group, because the first time I you know, even heard about cleaning the sewing machine out, they all just clasped their pearls about the buildup of fluff that I had inside of there. So yeah, so here I'm trying to get the locks off on the sides, and that's always fiddly. But I do this periodically, but also like right now, that disaster trying to sew that piece of paper in. And so you take the little plate that holds the bobbin, you take that out, and I got this brush. It's a longer handled brush, and I got it off of Amazon, and it works really well to get all the dust off of there. And I'm changing the needle as well, because it could be, you know, something happened with the needle. There could be a burr inside that I can't see, but it's causing, you know, a lot of anxiety for the machine and for myself. So there I am, just, you know, and you don't use cans of air, you don't use, you know, the vacuum cleaner, you just dust it out, and that brush grabs the dust. So what you don't see is me cleaning the brush off as I go. But if you ever have any problems with your machine, or even if you don't want to have problems with your machine, please clean it out. You probably know about this, you know, but in case somebody doesn't, like I didn't, I'm telling you now, clean your machines because they will last longer. They can sew through paper, they can sew through fabric, you know, but they need to be trauma free to do that. Yeah, so I don't know, you probably don't need to see me putting this back on. Anyway, okay, now see you later. Bye.